While the forecast for the 2023 elections is still clouded by uncertainties, a few things are coming out in bold relief. One of them is that neither the All Progressives Congress nor the People's Democratic Party would be the same after the June 3rd of this year. Political parties have a relatively short amount of time to nominate and to present their candidates to INEC or risk exclusion from the 2023 elections. INEC has insisted that parties have from April 4th until the 3rd of June to do this. Consequently, some political parties have hinted that the coming general elections were critical to sustaining the country's democracy, just as the United Nations has expressed worry over voter apathy. But the group has explained that to render technical assistance by strengthening the capacity of the relevant organs for the country in the elections. Well, joining us now to discuss the race for 2023 and a series of predictions and permutations is a political philosopher and analyst, Reverend Father Joh Odeyemi. Good to have you join us this afternoon on Newsday. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes. So like the intro said, a lot of permutations leading up to the 2023 elections. I want to first gauge your assessment of some of the candidates within the pool and also the amount for the forms. This has been a subject of a lot of debate. As we know, 100 million naira is what it went for under the APC. Can you talk to us about that, seeing as not a lot of people can afford that who are not in government already?
So, the way I'm approaching the whole question right now, a lot of people do not really agree with me. And to say that we always been presuming that we participate in democracy. But I think we have never been a democratic system in the first instance. But that aside, what we have right now is at best can be described as some form of oligarchy / feudalism. And what we're putting into what is supposed to be democracy by its definition, not the popular one that everybody runs around with the idea of a government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's the general idea. There's no particular definition for democracy. It's just the idea that the people elect people to office. But even if we're to go solely by that, you know that we're in some problems with INEC. I'm not able to say for sure because I don't have the hard facts, but I'm not sure that any Nigerian can boast that INEC is very independent. So there's a problem for democracy. Also, the names coming out. How many people want to be presidents or governors in this country with a ridiculous amount of money added to it? If it was a place where people were democratic and the system works, all those people who are picking up nomination forms should be in prison right now. They should be trying to find out where they got that kind of obscene amount of money from. And what is it they're looking for? Because ultimately, if you drop that kind of amount, you're banking on the fact that there's some form of income that is to accrue from your expenditure. Otherwise, no sane person is going to put 100,000. I'm yet to meet a Nigerian in my own time who loves this country that much.
So I want to pick up on that point about the number of candidates running. Even just within the APC, we've seen about 20 people or groups purchase these forms. What does that say about the state of politics here in Nigeria, that at least there is some element of competition going on?
But they're very unhealthy. I think that if the system was working, in the first instance, they should have been able in-house to have these conversations before throwing out these names to the public. But outside of that, the question I always ask myself is, why is it that the process is so convoluted? And the idea, the really, really rough idea, I don't know which of our Einsteins in the past came up with the idea of this zoning business, so that it complicates the process more. We're not looking for the best who can do the job. We're just zoning because it must come from this region or that region. Again, it brings me to the question that it's not democracy.
Well, I'd like to refer to something you said earlier. You said most of the people dropping this money should be in prison at the moment. Well, the EFCC says it is investigating the monies used in buying party nomination forms to ensure that they are legitimate. So are you confident that this investigation will be credible and transparent?
Well, I hate to be the pessimist, as some of my friends would say I am. I always try to be realistic about the truth of situations. We've seen so many investigations come and go in this country. Some are just totally forgotten. By the time we get into the ulabalu of the election, everybody forgets about that. Nobody comes back to say, oh, what was the outcome of the investigations? I'll be very happy if they come back in a couple of weeks and say, well, we found this, we found that. But I'm sorry, I doubt it.
Okay, so let's move on just a little bit to talk about insecurity. Still talking about the elections, we have heard the terror reports for weeks on end, leading up until this week. There's a lot of insecurity in the country. There are some calls, most popularly by Chief Afe Babalola, to have an interim government. So we put a stop to the election process, have an interim government for 6 months in order for us to rejig this constitution that is extremely militarily based. I want to get your thoughts on the fact that our constitution seems to be leaving us battling with our hands tied behind our back, so to speak, and also the fact that the insecurity in the nation, is that going to be a problem leading up to elections? Is this something we should be concerned about and trying to apprehend more aggressively?
So the Afe Babalola comment is actually the smartest thing I've heard in this country in a very long time. See, when people start running around and advising people to get their PVCs to vote, I always lean back and say, vote for who? Because the elections are put in such a place that you're always making a choice out of two bad choices. How long are we going to do that? What we need is to go back, just to do a referendum, or this sort of thing that Afe Babalola is calling. That is the right thing to do. Let's get our act together. We've had all sorts of stories that these people running around killing people with automatic weapons coming in every day from other countries, that they're here as part of the election process, and that they're all ready to go. If it does not go a certain way, then they're going to let loose mayhem and havoc. So I am honestly of the opinion, I agree with Afe Babalola, put aside all these shenanigans. We are not ready for it. We do not even have the competency to put the people they're putting forward. How many of them are technocrats? How many of them are people who are actually patriots in the real sense of it? So if you ask me, let's put aside this whole idea of elections. But I know, of course, it doesn't make any sense to a lot of people who gain by the disorder in society.
So I want to press you a bit further on this idea, because certainly there will be some people who are sympathetic with the idea of pausing the elections to sort out what's going on. But doesn't that just create another problem? There's the risk of we get another sort of Babangida situation where there's a transition without end.
You're quite right, because historically what we've done to ourselves sets us up for that sort of failure, where the distinction is always the North, the South, the East, and now there's all those little appendages. It's because we're not united as a country. And until we get to that point where we can, for our own good, agree and say we need to move forward in this way, it is possible. It is possible. It only takes the honesty of men who consider themselves patriots. But unfortunately, see, where you put the cart before the horse, you have an immediate problem, because the cart is not going to pull the horse. What we have done is invert everything on its head and hope to get a good result out of it. In Plato's word, who rules? The intellectual. When last did you see professors fighting for democracy? And they're the ideologues. They're the ones who are supposed to sit and refigure things out. They're busy fighting for more pay. When last did you see, sorry to say this, but it's the truth, when last did you see any journalist go to prison for writing whatever bad politicians consider subversive in a sense that is against them? We've lost that. So hooligans.
Wasn't that what used to happen under the military regime? Should that be happening under a democracy?
Yeah, well, the good thing about democracy is while the military has the power of force and arm, democratic system delays everything and sorts everything out by money. The military gives an order, shoot the man. We happen to Kensara where we know the history. But in the democratic system, they can put you in jail, waste your time, but it will be sorted out somehow. Everything goes away quietly because of corruption. So that's the problem. Those who are supposed to lead, according to, what's the man, Professor Mulumba, I love his quote. He said the problem in Africa is those who have ideas are not in power. Those who are in power have no ideas.
Well, but surely there must be a way forward. I mean, considering the fact that I doubt if Nigerians will accept the call for an interim government or if they would allow for the election process to be delayed. So surely there must be a way forward. How can we make the best of this situation and still have some form of credible election in 2023?
What I've always thought of and dreamt about is the ability for younger, new breed sort of politicians, if they will have the common sense and the desire and love for this country to come together and form a third party, because whatever APC will give, they've given. Whatever PDP will give, they've given. We've seen it. So we need men who are intelligent, men who are technocrats, men who understand world economics to come together. Because there are various names out there who, when you listen to them, you know that they're accomplished. So if they will agree to come together and not worry about who is president or what role, but to present a new vision for Nigeria. To say, for instance, we have too large government, cut it down. Let people go live in their own homes. Let them ride the buses like every other person instead of buying cars and distributing like maniacs. If they put this new vision out, people will say it, people will listen to them, because even the current president came riding in because at the point people were tired of a certain government and now they're looking for a new vision. If this younger generation can come together, and I beg them in the name of all that is good, of all that can build our country, build a new system. That is the only way that can save us. Because I know people will not agree with, oh, go on with the election. Then we go back to the same things that have brought us thus far.
In the same vein, a lot of the arguments as to why the youth have not completely immersed themselves in politics, and especially the presidency, is the amount of money it takes. It takes a certain amount of money and social affluence in order to be even considered or be a part of this boys' club that is politics in Nigeria. But another group that seems to be moving and is a little more financially buoyable is the religious side. Well, religion and politics, for a really long time, we have not really wanted to mix them. Now we have a situation where we have Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who is running for president. He has been vice president for a while. We have religious leaders stepping up now more than ever, being vocal about getting your PVC and being politically active. What role does the church play in politics, seeing as that is a huge body within Nigeria's society that has influence? What do you think they should be doing? Is this a kind of group that you said or that you were hoping could come together and do something different if the youth are not able to do that right away?
I'm Catholic, so I'm a Catholic priest, and the approach of our church is totally different from these other our Christian brothers of other denominations. For us, we're not allowed to be partisan in politics. And the social teachings of our church is very clear that we support Catholics who are able to participate in the process as long as they're there for altruistic reasons to serve. But what I'm saying in Nigeria today, it's a little bit of complicating things further. Because when you say religion, then we're not limiting it to Christianity. We have also the religion of Islam, which is very, very large in our country. And so when you come to political philosophy, you begin to ask the question, what is the role of religion in politics? Well, in modern climes, there's always a separation of church and state. But in our country, we're mixing up a lot of things. Our politics is more influenced oftentimes by religion used as a tool. But if all these people who are pastors and who are inclined to go into politics, if they will bring virtue, as it is taught in our scriptures, into the fray, then we may stand a chance of turning things around. However, there's a problem. If you're already in the system, you are corrupt already.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Father Joh Odeyemi. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.